Hello, everyone, and welcome back to D&D&D&D&D campaign number 2 of Black Ink and Blue Blood. When we last left off, the party of heroes traveling across Yav, or anti-heroes, I suppose more accurate. A bundle of nobility and political powers from around the continent have come together to stand against the political conspiracy, the Scar Concord, and have begun making major strides in their stand against them. Taking down their airship fleet, captained by Tropu Bikak, eliminating their transportation power, and disrupting their grip on the bandit kingdoms to the south. But as one head of the Hydra falls, two take its place. Caleb Tebedra, prince of the thieving southern kingdoms, has discovered that his birth father may yet still be alive, held by the dwarves in their labor camp, along with Caro, the Perusian Lovelander adventurer's old adventuring compatriots. As well, said prison was purported to be the last known location of Dr. Marula Knight, the Oathbreaker and alchemist who created the Ichor blood disease in the first place in service to the Lady in White, the enigmatic, deitic woman with a strange connection to the forgotten emperor of this continent. Tebedra's adopted mother, the acting queen while the king lay sick, has decreed that neither Zephyr nor Caleb shall hold the throne as long as she lives, and she intends on seeking out her husband's salvation on her own terms, now that her sons have failed her. But the rest of the party has vowed to the Princess of Thieves, Summer Tebedra, as well as the betrothed to Colonel What's-His-Gyogre, that they will locate Marula Knight and pry an answer to the infection out of her by any means necessary. For the first time in perhaps a while, the party's goals are aligned, at least as much as they ever are. But let's see if that remains the case as we dive back in to Black Ink and Blue Blood with the start of our new arc, Jailbreak.
Just back off.
Zephyr, as your mother slips away from you, using her shape-changing gifts to blend into the crowd, you don't know where she's going or exactly what she has planned, but you imagine by nightfall the entire kingdom will know that you and Caleb are no longer to be seen as the legitimate rulers of this kingdom. Whether they value the queen's word over yours remains to be seen. So, Zeph, what are you doing?
What are you doing? What?
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, you came back just after the outro.
Outro?
Or outro. Intro, sorry. Yeah, you missed the whole thing, man. Long food. All right, Zephyr, you make your way back to the Bear's Lodge.
Man, that'd be some alien abduction shit right there.
Yeah, you look at the clock and it's actually like the right time and everything. Lucian, What's-His, Caleb, and Tuco. You make your way out of the Tebedra dungeons, leaving behind the elvish assassin who attempted to claim the king's life in a suicide attack in an effort to further damn her enemies for the pain they have inflicted upon her. But sparing her life and saving the king's, You all ascend from the darkness of the dungeon into the sunlight above with a new mission under your belt. What would you all like to do?
Lucian's gonna say to whoever's there with her,
Pretty
let's
much
go back
everyone's
to
gonna
the.
say.
Yeah, okay. Let's go back to the bear lodge. Hopefully Zephyr's there. I might have an idea.
Any objections to this?
No, we're good.
Not really.
All right. Making
Is
your way.
Dimitri still around?
Yes, he is following along with you. Perturbed, but looking a little more resolute now that there is a concrete course of action and one that seems a little more up you guys' alley. It's one thing to ask you to undo powerful curses and assassinate kings, but compared to that, busting somebody out of a dwarvish prison should be pretty easy.
Yeah. Caleb's gotta like kind of sit back with him, and he wants to ask him if what's the information kid's name again?
Jerry.
Ask him. So does Jerry still have the information I gave him?
That's right. Keeping a lid on it like you asked. Why?
Just want to make sure our backup plan is still available at a moment's notice.
Probably a good idea. Your mom seemed pretty ticked about something.
Yes. I do want to ask, how would you feel if I have to enact the backup plan? If I'm going to have to try to turn Tabedra against its king?
He kind of looks thoughtful, and after a moment of weighing his thoughts, in truth, I think it's sort of inevitable. I don't know. He generally acts in our best interests, or at least he did once. If it wasn't for him, none of us would be here, so I guess that counts for something, but... well, I've heard the soldiers talking, saying that maybe it's time for someone more like them to take their place. But I've also heard people from inside the castle talking, saying that maybe you should be in charge. There's people who think that when your brother comes back, he should be in charge. Your sister. Some people don't even think anyone should inherit it, and your mom should just stay the queen even after the king dies. Although, from the looks of things, I'd say that's a long shot.
Well, in theory, I'd imagine if this plan does have to be enacted, I'd imagine Summer's support would probably fall with her family. At least among the regular people. I'm sure the nobles will try to hold on to it somehow, but... Loop, for all we know, is dead, so his support is rather shaky as well. I don't think it'd be too hard to bring people to our side if it comes to it.
Yeah, I think our biggest objective is just making sure that it doesn't come to bloodshed, but we shouldn't have too much trouble for that. We're not fighters, us Tebadrans. We're more than happy to...
My hope is... Sorry.
Point is, let's just hope it doesn't come to guns. That's all I'm saying.
My hope is that simply the threat of it will make them give in to their baser instincts. And simply flee the situation.
With any luck. You really
I hope you
trust...
understand that to do so, I may have to, as they say, talk a big game about what may happen. You know, act like the worst case scenario could happen to them. Which, I'm sure you know what the worst case scenario in a popular uprising is for a king.
He just gives a quiet nod and just be careful what you say and who you say it to. You're not the only assassin in town, especially not these days.
Why do you think I'm not relying? Why do you think I gave the information to someone else? I want the express order to be, if I'm killed, he's to release this information. And without anyone to guide, it could be a lot uglier without me.
Well, regardless of your planning skills or not, I'd rather you not die if you can avoid it. And he kind of nudges you playfully.
Well, that's the point. If I make it seem like killing me doesn't solve their problem, and maybe even makes it worse, they won't do it.
I've never met an assassin who thinks logically.
Yes, but that's what the people who hire them is for.
So who does your thinking?
Well, it used to be the king, but now I do my own thinking. I guess you could say I'm the rare exception of an assassin who does think.
We'll have to see how this plays out and go from there to see if you're right. Don't worry, your information's in good hands. Jerry's tight-lipped at the best of times. He's never let anything slip. We'll keep an ear out for anything else useful. Do you really think you can trust your sister to keep an eye on things while you're off doing whatever it is you and your friends do?
Well, if she does step out of line, I'm sure you will let me know, and I will deal with it.
He gives kind of a small nod, although he seems kind of deep in thought, and continues to walk with you, although he does take your hand.
Alright. Guess we'll continue along then.
You all regroup at the Bear's Lodge. Sure enough, Lucian, true to your guess, Zephyr is already waiting there when you arrive. Miezdu, the bartender, and Caleb's uncle, serving drinks. The bar is a little more crowded than normal, as word has begun to spread about the curse on the land being undone, thanks to all of you. There is much higher spirits in Rosewick than have been in quite some time. And as you all...
going to note that, I think Caleb is going to take the opportunity to try and interact with, the regular people.
Okay, noted.
Build his image in their eyes and all that.
Yeah, I gotta kiss a few babies. Caleb, you merge off from the group and start playing up the crowd. Gesture they seem to appreciate, as I was going to mention. They all immediately begin to celebrate as you all enter, recognizing you as the saviors of their home and livelihood. And as you all approach the bar, you can see the Bloodovich sisters are leaned on opposite sides of the bar, smiling as you approach. And as you all take a seat, Miezdu begins to serve some of the Tabadran cider with probably the first earnest smile you've seen from him in a while. And
I guess one time that keeps passing by the bar, Caleb will ask his uncle if he finally got some sleep.
Not yet. I have a business to run. Speaking of, I don't think I need to tell you that drinks are on the house tonight.
Caleb, if you don't mind, could you stay here for a few minutes? I think that we'll need to talk.
Very well.
You all enjoy yourselves. First time since the ball that Tabadrans have had something to celebrate. And kind of glancing to Lucian and seeming to gather that you may want some... Hello. Seeming to gather that you may want some privacy, he lights a cigar and goes off to take a smoke break. And one of the Blodovich sisters at this point, you cannot for the life of you tell which one, takes over tending the bar and makes a poor effort to not be noticed eavesdropping on whatever conversation you're about to have. Also,
I don't mind.
Tugo, just for your reference, all you missed as far as Tugo's concerned is, yeah, you guys just regrouped back at the Bear's Lodge, and Lucian has a plan that she's about to pitch to the group. Lucian?
Okay, so I've kind of been thinking about this for a little bit. What's this? Do you still have that potion that you bought that makes you grow bigger?
Yeah, I got 10 of them.
Okay, good. Well, I was thinking that the four of us, Zephyr, Caleb, Tuco, and I, could sneak towards the castle, and Losses, you can distract everyone by growing, like, really tall and, like, smashing things.
Why are we destroying my city?
No, this is an Aegis, not your city.
Oh, I see.
I'm talking about the prison, where you guys are wanting to go. But I do have some concerns. Well, I mean, of course I want to go and, be with Aggie, of course. But, if Caleb can do what he says he can do, then they should be okay. Do you think you can do that, Caleb? Could you get an army to her so that she will have backup?
Caleb's gonna maybe quiet down a little bit so only the party can hear.
Yeah, no, I imagine that we were doing that
It would have been easier
anyway.
if, I'm going to be honest, it would have been a lot easier if Tuco hadn't stunned our attacker. Then the king would have died and I could have ascended immediately.
Tuco just looks at him like, oh, really? Really?
Well, I will
I
remember
suppose
that
you
next
could have
time.
fought the Ica beast that was in close range. Wouldn't that have been fun?
We have fought plenty of these creatures. We could have handled it.
Well,
Oh,
we still
yes.
avoided something that was, thankfully it was avoidable. I don't think that this is something that we need to be fighting about right now.
But anyways, it does actually kind of complicate things with the king as well. Technically still alive. But maybe I'm thinking the queen might maybe do something rash. And that might give me an opportunity to spring my backup plan.
Okay, are you going to tell us what this plan is?
Basically, I use the information I know about our king to turn the people against him. Use the threat of turning as they say, turning the mob on them to force them to abdicate and give me the throne. If they don't, then I stir the people up into a frenzy, and, well, whatever happens at that point happens.
You want to do this instead of, just exterminating the problem?
I would prefer a solution that avoids doing it that way. But
That's understandable, but I mean, it just seemed like she was gonna drag you down with her.
Not if I properly separate things, after all. They were the ones who sacrificed my parents for their own gains.
What did you expect?
Exactly. That is what I can attack to turn people against them. Make them believe that the king will sacrifice them at a moment's notice. Appeal to their baser instincts to avoid such things.
Alright, so when are you wanting to enact this plan B?
Well, I need Again, this is a very... If it comes down to this plan, then it is either it works perfectly or things get very messy. So I prefer it to be a situation where the Queen forces me to have to use it. Otherwise, we may have to try to find some solution.
Well, if it's about this getting into the prison situation, why not instead of making what's is large, we make ourselves small?
I
We just
mean,
shrink in.
I can do both. He can grow large, and then I can shrink all the four of us.
Well, yes, but if we take the stealthier approach, it'll certainly be a lot easier to get in, and we won't have to worry about him taking a lot of damage.
Well, I was actually just thinking that it would be better because he could probably, like, if there's like a gate or like a wall, that he can help get the prisoners running free. In the meanwhile.
As far as mother's situation, yeah, I will definitely state y'all have complicated situations. Mostly you, Caleb, but...
Well, what's
Ouch.
happened?
I mean, we had a deal. We broke said deal. So deal fell through.
Which deal was broken?
Well, the deal on our dear king's life.
I mean, technically, we didn't say how we would do it.
Oh,
We just
dear.
said we would try to find a way.
I
Our
thought
first method
I thought
failed.
us breaking him out of his sleep by killing that monster was us fulfilling the end of the deal.
No. He's not. Well, I mean, is he awake now?
Ah, she wants him awake.
Well, she wants him well, to be honest. She wants him
Well,
not
she should have
dying.
specified that.
Do you think she's going to do something?
Well, I mean, from what this just did happen, but sounded like your ring there is now just a paperweight. Or at least it
If
would
that's
be.
the case, then that would be the exact excuse I need to use my second plan.
What's that?
His whole turn the people
Turning
against,
the people against them,
but
whip them up into a frenzy. Maybe a few king and queenly heads wind up on spikes.
So you're counting on the rest of this little kingdom being able to take her down. I know of her. She is the greatest assassin.
Yes, but she is old and can only kill so many.
How would you
Tuco
know
just
that's-
kind of gives him a wince, like a.
I really don't think that's gonna stop her. I mean, she might even, love is a vicious motivator, Caleb. It can drive somebody insane,
We
almost.
are literally brought up under her teachings to some extent.
She is but one person, though.
Yeah, but one person can, even a single stone can cause many ripples.
Yes, but we're also
I
talking
think it'd be
about a
prudent.
kingdom of people who are not your average kind of people. Sure, we're not soldiers, but we all know how to use a knife very well. All it's
but
going to take is one person getting through, and then
You
well, she
also
will
suspect-
slowly fall.
You also suspect that people will be able to find her just so easy. I doubt she'll let herself be known, and that she'll probably let herself be seen when she has her blade at your throat.
If she leaves the castle, then mission accomplished. It's mine.
I don't think that's how that works, but either way, I don't really care much about this whole castle situation. So,
As long as I don't care where she goes, I don't care if she runs to the hills to avoid the inevitable end.
that's not what I'm
As
saying.
long as she's
but
not on that throne.
I don't believe she's the sort to run away. If anything, she'll be running directly at you. or directly to our enemies.
She's probably doing that as well, right after essentially making it known that, she revokes her his right to ascension, but she's probably going to go off and find the right people to actually save.
And they will get theirs eventually as well.
Who
Yeah.
did you push her in the direction of somebody?
Well, I told her simply, the alchemist, only that.
Usually to go whence even harder. The alchemist! Oh.
Yeah.
So, from
He
the
already
sounds
said.
of it, we need to try and nip her in the bud as quickly as possible.
Not sure about that.
Which is why I thought the four of us could sneak into the castle, get her all of her papers and her shit, and you and I, Tuco, could, feasibly come up with something with those blueprints.
Lucian, y'all are talking about two completely different people.
They're talking
They're
about.
We
talking about the Queen. You're talking about
the
Dr. Knight.
Queen.
Yeah.
Sorry. My brain is tired.
Look, and again, I should reiterate that my plan is more meant to be a threat. To try and convince her that it would be best for her to just simply leave.
I don't think.
I don't believe such threats of display threats would be very effective on her.
Yeah, she's not necessarily someone who has the mindset to just take a threat like that.
No, if it comes down to it, I know how we can draw her out. It would not be very well perceived.
No.
This is
If
going to
that's the
sound
king.
fucked. But what if one of us impersonates the king?
I mean,
Plan I definitely do not have confidence in.
um,
If there's anything I know the Queen knows, it's the King.
Oh, you raise a valid point there, just throwing out in the air. In the very least, the news of somebody looking like the king being up and moving should certainly get her attention.
Yes.
I have an idea. It's a little crazy. I look to Wesses. Why don't you and Summer just get married? She'd have to show up, right?
Not necessarily. I doubt
She
she'll
does
care.
not seem to be a woman who is fond of family.
I mean, that's her whole shtick,
We
isn't
know
it?
that
She loves
the
her
only thing
family.
she cares about in life is the King.
Yeah.
She honestly couldn't care less about the rest of us, and I don't know how much more she actually cares about Summer.
Which is why I said we could always threaten the king. If we bring him out into the open
was
and
part of
his
my
life
plan.
is at risk,
I have
She
another
will
crazy
appear.
The threat
idea.
to the King's life will affect
Wouldn't
her
that
more
just
than
make her
a
run
threat
to run to the ram faster?
Couldn't we just expedite the king turning into an Ichor beast? Wouldn't that do the trick? And
But-
that we would be able to get rid of him too.
I can somehow lock the King in there so I can watch her face as the King turns into a monster and devours her.
I mean, I'd be all for that. I love that idea, actually.
That was one of my ideas. If she was able to survive the, plan, and I was able to get a hold of her, was to just lock her and Summer in a cage and watch as the King turns into a monster that kills them.
I mean, 100% behind that, but I think the idea is that if he is in danger, she will come and try to, defend him.
Or worse, she'll run to the ram even faster.
And then she'll run into a bunch of blades.
You could, Caleb, you could have every guard out there looking for her in the meantime.
Look, this is why I wasn't going to tell you everything, because I knew this was what's going to happen. Our group loves to argue too much. Loves to second guess.
But not
you
even
need to
arguing,
work
we're
on a
discussing.
plan as opposed to everyone being pissed off and not in the know.
Yeah, it's better for all of us to be on the same page, Caleb, and it's more like debating than arguing.
So,
Whatever. It's your life on the line.
So it sounds like we can't. If the Queen is taking back her proclamation, then I'm going to have to use some plan to get her to back down on this matter. Maybe focus on her like of the king. Obviously, threats to her will probably do very little. But threats to
Or-
the king can affect her a lot more.
Well, that's why I'm saying we should expedite him turning into an Ichor beast, because that would, you know,
If we
get
do
her
something
attention.
like that, I can't be tied to it, because if
However-
I'm seen killing the king, it is simply me trying to steal power.
Go ahead, Tuco.
That's true.
He was going to propose, then why don't we just cure him faster? The sooner we get tonight, the quicker we can get a hold of the blueprints. Once we figured out how the surgical process works, we're set. Why don't we just make a dead run tonight, steal that information, and try and revive him before she can get whoever she wants to get?
How long does it take to get to where we're trying to go?
If you go at like a steady pace, you can get there in about a week. You could get there in as little as 3 days if you just book it without stopping.
I'm behind that, Tuco, and I think that my plan could absolutely work. And getting those blueprints.
Well, as far as getting
Well-
blueprints, you don't really need a huge what to do that.
Well, I mean, if we could get some free, jail, like break some people out of jail, 2 for 1.
But I should point out that that is a viable plan, and it may even be able to talk the Queen down from her position if we just simply offer an alternative solution. But that would mean I would not be able to send help to Sundragon.
I could always message her and see how she's doing.
No, you're free to do that.
And why not? Why don't you give some of your position of power to your second hand, your partner? You give him the.
I don't
Treat him like a
technically
general.
have the power yet. That's the problem. It's still in the hands of the king and nominally at this point the queen. I only
Is
give
anybody
that
is the
power
town
if
willing
the
to listen to you?
Like-
Why not play up the fact that we did
No.
all negate the issue of the sleeping monster?
Yes, but I could try to do something like that, but it wouldn't be as effective if, the queen says no. That's kind of why I need that position to do what I said.
At this point, one of the twins tending the bar comes by and offering all of you drinks. She's kind of contemplative for a moment. Again, you get the impression that she was trying and failing to not eavesdrop. And after she gives you all your drinks and kind of drums her fingers on the countertop for a moment, she says in a kind of quiet, understated tone, "Daddy wasn't kidding. This is the happiest the people in this city have been in a long time, and it's probably the same all over. I can at least speak for myself when I say it's been a while since the king and queen made us feel that way. And everyone likes to say that kings are born, not made, but, well, I think too many heads have rolled for us to really think that's true." She gives a
Right.
kind of nervous grin.
Exactly. If you play up the campaign of the change you've done, already the good that you've done. No longer will this town ever have to suffer the sleeping sickness.
Which was part of my plan. After all, I gotta convince them that I could be a better replacement.
Then why not spend this day trying to plan a campaign of sorts? Whenever we make to leave for the city tomorrow, you can spread flyers.
Spread flyers and then leave immediately.
It's like, we gotta go save the world.
Yes, if I'm going to do that, I'm gonna have to commit to it for a while. Spend some time here building it up and all that.
Is that a sacrifice you'd be willing to make?
I can definitely wait a little bit longer to do what I need to do. I mean, the odds of him actually still being alive are quite low as is, and if he has made it this long, I think a few more days won't kill him. Hopefully.
So, dead run tonight?
Well, I think as far as that goes, we still have to make sure that we rest. Because it won't do us any good to go in there if we're dropping dead from exhaustion.
Yeah, you see Tuco kind of puzzle at your statement before he remembers that he was technically the one who took the least sleep damage out of the group, so he's not tired.
Lucian looks very tired.
Yeah, no, he kind of like shakes his head. Well, alright. I'm trying to think. Out of everyone who needs to sleep as many more days as they need, what's the highest number?
Well,
I think Lucian needs one more day.
So yeah, about
also,
like.
I'm now very confused. I feel like Tuco was talking about two completely.
No, I see what basically. Caleb was basically making the case that he's willing to stay here for a few more days to basically, do as you suggested, like play up the campaign, like be a king, basically, and he's willing to chance, if his father is still alive in the prison, that he can last just a few days longer, basically.
I think it sounds like
I'm still at level 2. I'm still at level 2 exhaustion.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So 2 days of sleep for you to be.
Yeah, so yeah, like that's what he was going to suggest. That was the purpose of his question. He was just going to suggest basically what Matthew just said.
Yeah. So, Lucian needs rest anyway. Caleb can use that time to campaign, and then once everyone's feeling
Tuco's
good,
willing to help, and Tuco is willing to help Caleb as well.
I was gonna say, well, if
will
I'm
help
going to
as well.
campaign, if I'm going to do some campaigning, I guess I should go get started and go back to what he was doing.
I'll help make flyers and stuff when I'm not sleeping.
No, yeah.
I think Caleb will just do a little on-foot work for now.
Yeah.
I can even see Tuco selling some of his wares as like selling them basically at a discount just to drum up some positivity.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Zephyr, anything from the pair of you?
I can't really think of anything off the top of my head. He might look for a stronger weapon because his axes are getting a little used since he doesn't have any power cells.
Yeah, a little long in the tooth.
It
Alright.
seems like weapons in D&D don't really get... I mean, I guess maybe magical weapons probably get real strong, but like just regular weapons are just kind of like...
Oh, yeah.
They're as strong as you make them with your character and all that.
Pretty much, I mean, that's kind of with any weapon, but yeah. Base weapons aren't that powerful, usually.
Yeah, okay, so is heading into town to look for a new weapon. Zeph, anything from you?
Nope. Zephyr's not going to get involved.
Alright. In that case, Caleb, with Lucian and Tuco's support, make a persuasion check at advantage.
Yeah, and guess what Caleb just became an expert in? Persuasion. So guess what I can't roll lower than as long as I don't nat 1.
A 10.
No. More than that, 22.
Alright, so it's gonna be 10 plus 10, so dirty 20.
Okay.
Nice.
All right, Aruni.
Already got use out of it. That was originally a 9 before that ability turned it into a 10.
You rolled with advantage, right?
Oh, I had advantage?
Yeah, because Tuco is helping you and Lucian helping you as well lowers the DC.
Okay, the second roll was a 17 plus 10, so 27.
Okay.
Hey, can I like maybe give some points that Caleb might be talking about?
Yep, I encourage it, please.
Can I give him
So
guidance?
I think one big focus of his is the fact that ever since all this started, you know, has Tabaja really been raiding? Since all this started, like how much raiding has Tabaja really gotten to do?
Yeah, and that immediately gets quite, especially the like older gentlemen who usually are the foot soldiers of the raids, who like drinking in the Bears Lodge. Just, yeah, you know what? He's right.
Like you say anything, be like, politics, right? Yeah. Fuck politics.
Yeah.
I mean, if you say anything convincingly enough, people will be like, yeah. Also, Lucian, don't worry, I did a guidance roll myself, so that wouldn't interrupt Caleb.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and Caleb would and he would just maybe try to focus on making himself seem like make people, I guess, like for now people still assume he's like, because he's got the ring and all that, the word hasn't spread yet, so like just playing up that he's got this and all that.
All right.
Maybe a little, maybe mention, maybe a little appeal to pedigree because his father was quite popular and all that.
Okay. Caleb, you begin to slink through the crowd of the Bears Lodge and drum up support for your political ascent to the throne, with your direct ascension no longer being an option. You draw emphasis on your actionable plan for Tabadra's future, the trust the Queen, at least at one point, placed in you, and of course, appealing to the looming popularity of the Vey family, who never had a true noble to represent them. Tuco, setting up shop in the city. You sell discounted wares to draw attention as well to Caleb's campaign. Off of that, you're able to make 70 gold.
I was also going to note that maybe, like, if Caleb had an opportunity, he would make a quick pit stop by the hideout to let the others know, to help spread the good word and all that.
Okay. As you pass word along, Dimitri gives a smile and, we'll make sure it gets done. But Jerry, from his position against the wall, turns and stares at you wordlessly for a moment before very simply, now?
Yes, I think there may be some things coming up that may necessitate a little more active approach.
His eyes kind of cross for a moment.
And helping to end the curse and all that really makes the iron hot, as they say.
Dimitri gives you a smile and kind of brings you into a hug. You are thinking. He gives you a kiss on the head. I'm proud of you. We'll make sure it gets done.
Well, I had a little bit of help getting on the right path, but I think hopefully this will all work out. Hopefully it's not too strange. It just suddenly started, but it is what it is. I didn't think about it before. I mean, before it seemed like just a straight shot. But again, things may start to get a little complicated, but you'll see.
Not comforting, but I'll trust your judgment. He hugs you and gives you a kiss on the cheek. Now,
He's gotta look to Jerry. Just make sure to be ready for the word, if you know what I mean, Jetty.
He gives a very slow nod.
And I want it said, if anything happens to me or Dimitri or anybody in my group, or anybody in this group for that matter, thanks to the Queen's doing, then you know what to do with the information.
He gives another very slow, quiet nod.
Alright, everyone. Let's do this.
Everyone gives a salute. And you see one of the more hyperactive girls in the group give an enthusiastic call. Hail to the king!
That's the spirit. And Caleb will return to his business.
Over the course of the day, Caleb and the Queen's campaigns begin to spread, and inevitably, by nightfall, as Lucy and you are at the ready with flyers and Tuco selling your wares, you begin to notice factions beginning to form and bristles beginning to rub against one another.
Yeah, I'm guessing it starts to spread that the Queen is revoking it, but now Caleb's getting kind of popular-ish.
Mm-hmm. So at that point, it just comes down to, in any other kingdom,
whenever like the announcement is made, I want Caleb to do like one of those kind of like, maybe in like Tabedra's like square or something. He's gonna do, you know, basically say, look how. I was thinking Caleb would say something like, so, I guess we all see how the Queen rewards heroism. Me and my group, we help save everyone. We hope bring an end to this curse, and yet the Queen decides I am not worthy now.
You can see that gets a few people talking, and you can see a few people kind of shaking their heads and grousing.
You know, I remember when my father got real popular and all that. And some people wondered how the king and queen would feel about it. Well, guess I see that maybe they wouldn't have felt very good about it.
That catches a few people's attention, and you can hear conspiratorial whispers already beginning to spread.
And I guess Caleb will leave it at that. Let the people, let the imaginations run wild.
Yeah, they're going to come to their own conclusions anyway. Might as well encourage it. You browse around town for upgrades to your weapons. Although, unfortunately, with the kind of equipment you're carrying, it'd be hard to find an upgrade in a place like this. Yeah, the vault's the only thing. And even then, it didn't have much in the way of, like, traditional weapons. Most Tabedra stuff is more utility.
Yeah. Well, if he can't find anything, that's fine. He'll keep looking elsewhere if he has to.
Okay. As your first day of campaigning comes to an end, I will say between, those of you who are just kind of going around town and those who are actively doing the campaigning, I'll say, at least in Rosewick specifically, it's only a matter of time until word spreads to the other cities. But at least in Rosewick, you'd say it's a fairly even split. You suspect things might be leaning more towards Caleb's way. But the Queen does, at the very least, still hold a sizable amount of loyalty. But, of course, given a continued push, that may change. For the time being, as you all regroup at the Bear's Lodge, you notice it's really empty and quiet. And you realize that people no longer have to stay at the bar and keep themselves awake. They can go home and sleep now. Miezdu, for his part, seems to be appreciating the quiet, and as everyone begins to regroup at the bar, he gives a smile and a nod, and puts out his cigar as he clasps his fingers together and leans forward as you all sit at the bar, those of you who wish to do so at the very least. Word spreads fast. You and your new mom are fighting now? And he looks to you, Caleb.
Yes, well, we know how they treat. We know how they are about being challenged.
He kind of gives a snort and takes a shot. Well, my house stays open as long as you don't bring your politics into it. But, if I may ask, what's the plan? Well, my girls say you're planning to head east to Dwarf Country.
Yes, I did tell you about one of the reasons why I was going there, right?
He gives a kind of grave nod, and you see his expression get that kind of distant, foggy look it had had when you first told him.
I do plan to go there, but it may be necessary that I have to stay here for a little bit longer to try and make sure all this goes through well and all that. It pains me. I once, when I heard the news, I wanted to leave right then. I wanted so bad to go. But I knew I had things I had to do here.
That's grown up of you. And he kind of, not quite tousles your hair, but just kind of pets it lightly. But he's kind of quiet for a moment before. Well, whether you're staying or going, I can at least promise you, no one speaks ill of my family in my establishment. If you want to go and do what it is you're going to do, well, yours, and those who support you will always have a place here. The Queen's lot pay like shit anyway.
Well, I guess, does that mean I have your support?
He kind of stares at you for a moment before, again, for one of the first times in a while, breaks into a smile and... Of course you do, boy. Your family. Family sticks together. Always.
Yes, and if all goes well, being the uncle of the king will probably have its advertisement value.
I'm not leaving the fate of my business in the hands of your decision-making. I love you, boy, but not that much.
Well, hopefully my decision-making will be good and it'll make it easy on you.
He raised you well. You'll make a fine ruler. A fine ruler for the most ill-fine lot of people.
You see, that is the people that is really... I think that is the kind of people that really shows the best leader. It's easy to rule the people who are relatively calm and docile. It's a true challenge to rule a people like this. But all the reward.
Your father said that a lot.
Sometimes I wonder if this would have all happened already if it's the incident hadn't happened. If he really would have, you know, been the challenge they thought he was.
I don't think so. You have a lot of things your father didn't. You have the brains to look before you leap. The queen, even if she has her strange way of showing it, has some form of affection for you. And she nods to the ring on your finger. And he nods to the rest of the party. Your father didn't have powerful friends. Just had me and your mother. Well, I can't speak for her, but I can at least say I'm not. I'm probably worth maybe half of one of the elves. And he nods to Lucian and kind of chuckles.
Lucian just takes a drink.
I mean, he did seem to make some efforts to try and make some friends like that.
He was looking in the wrong place. Tebadrins, we don't have friends. We have allies. Useful tools.
Tell me how you really feel about me, Mostu.
Matter of pragmatism.
She rolls her eyes.
We do not know each other. Our families do not know each other. I do not know I can trust you. I trust you because my boy trusts you. But that is the extent that it goes. Prove me wrong, and, well, I'll eat the Gigi bird. He takes a shot. But I haven't been proven wrong yet.
No. Maybe if the Major can keep kicking around for a while, maybe we could start to being a little more kingdom-like in those regards. You know, after all, as it stands, there are very few people who are born in what we can call the Vedra. And most of them are very tiny.
He smiles and looks to one of the Blodovich sisters cleaning up one of the tables. I hope you succeed.
Even I was not born the patron.
It's true. I remember when you were still a tiny baby, bouncing on my knee. Little wolf pup. He, again, kind of pets your head and... well, I'm doing something I haven't gotten the chance to do in weeks, and I'm going to bed.
Finally get some sleep without having to worry about never waking up again.
He seems like he's going to make some kind of cutting remark, but after a moment of hesitation, just gives a nod and gives you a smile. Good night, Caleb.
Good night, Uncle.
Any final business with all of you before you turn in for the night? The Blodovich sisters are still about, just cleaning up the bar before locking up for the night.
I do want to do one thing before Lucian goes down for the night.
All right,
so just come back to me.
I kind of was gonna ask, like, his cousin, something just kind of
I'm good.
out of curiosity.
Okay. All right, seems like everyone else is good, so Caleb, you do your thing, and then Lucian can do theirs.
Caleb was gonna ask them. You know, it got me kind of thinking. How were you two when Tebadra became a thing?
This actually gives them some pause, and they kind of look to each other. Caleb, you do recall growing up that they didn't actually talk about their childhood all that much. Always kind of kept at a distance, so to speak. At least in that particular regard, didn't seem eager to discuss much about themselves beyond, well, what was strictly necessary for your relationship. They were always friendly, but closed off in that regard. But eventually, they kind of looked to each other, and we were 13 years old. Still children, really.
that would have made me what?
You were 4.
Yeah,
I remember. That was when we first met. You probably don't remember.
Bits and pieces, not much.
Fenya put you in little doll's clothes.
Yes, I'm sure that was enjoyable for you too.
They kind of look to each other, but... Oh?
Do you remember what it was like when everything that formed this happened?
Fenya is the one who takes over speaking, being the older of the two. It was hard. We moved here with Dad when we were still children. The fort had just been taken, and we were struggling. Nobody respected us. People attacked us every day. Finka and I, we didn't sleep, not fully, until 2 weeks into us moving here. The battles kept us up all night. And then we would sleep when we could during the day, while Dad went out and helped repair the walls.
Were my parents helping with it too?
Uncle Lev defended the south wall, the weakest one. We knew that if anyone came, it was going to be through that gate. So your father watched it and protected us. It's a good thing he did too. A lot of people came after us. Spies, soldiers. And then of course we had to make sure we were hitting merchant caravans. We had to get an income somehow. And nobody was going to trade with us. At best, we were squatters. At worst, we were traitors. And nobody could decide who we were traitors to. Nobody knew where we came from. Nobody cared. She's silent for a moment before, almost more like she's saying it to herself than anything, but all of you hear it clearly. I forgot what silence sounded like for a long time. I was so used to screams and arrows and swords. And then I heard my first cannon, and they said it was a dragon that destroyed this place before we got here, but you know, I think I would have rather just fought the dragon than slept through that every night.
I would imagine.
But eventually it stopped.
Yes, people got tired of throwing people against our walls.
She gives a smile that you're not quite sure how to place, but I will say Tuco, being fairly intuitive, recognize that it's guilt. The raiding never stopped, but the attacks did. People knew to listen to us. And, well, they would still laugh at us when we came to meetings and balls. Daddy took Finka and I to one of the annual balls, said that we were important enough now that people would respect us. And they just laughed at us.
They looked down on us. Even I know those stories.
It's okay, though. She laughed at my dress. I stole her rings.
Why would she laugh at your dress.
That's the funny thing. I don't even think she noticed. It was the same dress as hers. But because I came from somewhere else, it was worse on me.
Lucian looks very, like, both confused and sad.
Okay, I was going to say. But I think it says something. What kind of just regular bandit would choose to go inside a place that is constantly under attack? What kind of just common highwayman would choose to make a stand on a wall against forces that he has no right making stands against?
That's right. You do sound just like him.
But I think it shows that Tibetans are just... we're a different breed, is what I'm saying. There's something different about the people who chose to be us. Something that separates us from just being common bandits.
It's not blood that makes a king. It's something that, well, not quite sure what it is, but I think it's in you, and I do think these people are ready for a proper leader.
You know what kind of stories my dad liked to tell me? He would tell me stories about pirates, of all people. Specifically, he loves telling me stories about... oh, what's it called? Nassau, I think the name was?
The Pirate Republic.
A bunch of bandits on the sea who just told everybody else, we're a country now. Those are the kind of stories my father liked to tell me. I think it really says something about what he saw in Tibetra.
I think he would have been proud of you. And maybe, if we're lucky, he still is.
We can only hope. If he still is, then I do really want to bring him back. And I want to build the Tibedra he saw. The one that he saw in his dreams.
Well, if I know one thing, it was like this even when you were even tinier than you are now. She smirks. When you want something, you get it. I think you'll do just fine. And I'll double down on what Dad said. If you want to go find him to orchestrate the finest breakout in Yav, we'll hold down the fort for you. Besides, I doubt your sister's interested in dealing with a civil war either. I think between all of us we can keep things quiet. Hold down the fort until you get back.
I do plan to stay for at least a little bit longer. I want to make sure I can, as they say, secure my position.
She gives a nod, and after a moment of hesitation, may I make a suggestion?
What would that be? I'm always open to suggestions. I'm hoping to make that one of my qualities as a king. Open to them, but that does not necessarily mean suggestible.
Back whenever I was young, when we first got here, you were too young to remember, but the king gathered all of us up in the square. Everyone. Fighting men, mothers, children. And gave all of us one last chance to leave. Said that as long as he lived, he and his family would be the king of southern banditry in Yav. But that he would protect us. All he asked for in exchange was that everyone pull their weight, and that we trust his judgment, the man who led us here. And he said anyone who wasn't willing to do that could leave. No judgment. Only a little bit of friendly pocket picking. But they got to walk away. People fight a lot harder when they think their back's against the wall. I'm starting to hear whispers. People are starting to argue already. And it's only a matter of time for something this serious where things are going to get bloody. If you want to avoid a fight, well, there's still no sign of your mother. If you give them the chance to walk away, we're Tebadrians at heart. We'd always rather turn and run than fight. Make things easier on yourself. You can't convince everybody, and you can't please anybody else. But you can at least make sure the people who stay are the good ones.
Do you think I should talk about how anyone can see where this may be going? And anyone in Tebadra who doesn't wish to be a part of that is free to go?
Whenever you're ready. You can't take something like that back, but it worked great for the king.
I would definitely have to keep that in mind if it comes to it. To be honest, I was also planning on giving the king and queen and all of them the same opportunity. The option to just leave and never be harassed again. Maybe whenever it looks like it's about to kick off, I can make my offer to the people and to the king equally.
She gives you a nod. Well, then I'll see you tomorrow for more of your meetings and politickings, Your Majesty. And she gives you a playful little curtsy.
And because it is important to me to hear, would I have your support?
Always. Your family. Fenka gives a nod. We have to stick together.
Always. Caleb's gonna, hug both of them at the same time.
Which they return. Lucian, as the party begins getting ready for bed, what would you like to do?
Okay, so, I'll just, go to my room. I'm going to ask, Aggie how things are going.
Alright. She gives you the report. Autumnfall and Sundragon, surprisingly, are actually working coherently together and are beginning to push into barbarous territory. They've managed to clear the vertebral mountain. They managed to clear the mountains that surround Barbarous, and are beginning to push further in to their territory range. At the moment, they have not met significant resistance, Although Sun Dragon and Queen Autumnfall both suspect that will likely change the closer they get to the capital. They still have not heard from Blackthorn or Shadow Lily, although Sun Dragon seems like she believes that Blackthorn will eventually come through, but isn't quite sure of Shadow Lily.
So correct me if I'm wrong. I did speak with Blackthorn, and she did not seem interested at all.
She made it clear that she's going to stick to the guns she's been sticking to. Keep everyone safe. Stay in your lane. Don't get involved.
And then last I spoke with Pietro said that they were planning something.
Yeah, basically they're hoping to get involved, but have not made any actual moves to do so yet. Whether Pietro has correct information or not remains to be seen.
Right, so I will let her know that I spoke with Blackthorn and that she was less enthusiastic about joining the cause, and what I heard from Pietro. And then I will add what our plans are.
All right. She thanks you for the update, and to your surprise, actually reassures you very confidently that she may not seem like it, but but Blackthorn will come through.
I'll trust her judgment on that.
Isn't Blackthorn what's his sister's fiance?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh yeah, she'll come through.
I can't think of anything else I wanted to tell her.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all that comes to mind. So I will have Lucian catch up with her sleep.
All right. You all hunker down, and you all get a long rest. Regrouping back at the bar of the Bear's Lodge, what would you all like to do on this day?
Am I down to level 1 exhaustion now?
Yes.
Okay.
And go ahead, Caleb.
Yeah, Caleb's gonna continue his good work.
Okay. Tuco?
I'm good.
Okay. What's his, Zephyr?
I actually wanted to speak with Tuco about something.
All right. We'll circle around to you. I'm just basically getting an idea of where everyone's going first. Zephyr?
I will, I guess, identify some magic items.
Oh yeah, and I can help with that too.
Tuco has a lot of magic items.
All right. Zeph, just, I guess, send me which item you identify, and I will get back to you. What's his? You doing anything?
I guess I'll follow Caleb around. Just make sure nobody tries to, end him.
Yeah, bodyguard him. All right.
Yeah. Help him with his campaign as best I can while keeping him safe.
All right. Caleb and what's his head out for a day of campaigning. Zephyr heads back up to their room to start identifying some items, which leaves Tuco and Lucian at the bar. And Lucian, you approach Tuco.
I wanted to pick your brain about a few things.
Still with us, Tuco?
It's Teresa.
Yeah. We'll circle back. She may be busy.
I was just trying to engage her.
Caleb, roll persuasion.
Alright. Let me pull that stuff up. Do I have it just flat this time?
Yeah, nobody's like directly helping you this time, so.
I thought Gil.
Well, you said you were just bodyguarding him. Do you want to like contribute to the campaigning itself?
Yeah, I did say that he was helping while also bodyguarding.
Okay. How are you going about helping? Just so I know.
A few bribes here and there were needed.
Caleb, roll persuasion with advantage.
first roll was 22. Second roll is a 29.
Okay.
And I was gonna note that I think Caleb will maybe do a little more mentioning of the early days based on descriptions he's heard. You know, focusing on how people in Tabedra chose to fight that battle instead of just basically, you know, we're more than bandits because of that and all that.
Okay. Caleb, as you and What's-His wander the city, you make your way to the square and begin to soapbox at length about Tabedra, what they once stood for, and what they can indeed still stand for today, if only the people will it. And initially, you do, of course, get quite a few people who are already on your side and nodding along. But you also get quite a few people who, I will say, you kind of clue in quickly are supporters of the Queen, who don't seem nearly as convinced. And thinking quickly, I'll say, how much bribe money are you willing to give?
Who, me?
How many
bribing.
people are we talking?
I would say at a kind of rough kind of look around, you'd say it's about a third of the population is in support of the Queen, roughly.
I said to go with about. He'll throw in 1,000 gold to divide among them.
Caleb, your proselytizing about Tabedra itself may not necessarily have won over any supporters in and of itself, but as What's-His begins to throw around quite a bit of bribe money, that gets quite a few people on your side. And
in true Tabedran fashion.
Yeah, I was going to say, What's-His knows how to commune with your people.
Yeah, well, Caleb knows that those people can be turned very easily.
Oh, no, very true. Very, very true. You and Caleb spend the day campaigning, but I will say by the time the sun is beginning to set and you're beginning to slow down for the night, you both are pretty confident that a vast majority of the city's population is in Caleb's favor. Again, the same cannot necessarily be said of outlying cities and settlements, but at the very least, the capital seems to be like at least like 90% in Caleb's favor.
Oh, that's good.
Damn.
Yeah, basically
that was some effective campaigning.
Well, I mean, like Caleb, you hit a lot of beats that the Tabedrans responded well to, and then What's-His bribed those who couldn't be reasoned with.
Hey, money goes a long way.
Yeah, especially here. And Tuco, since now that you're back with us, Lucian had approached you. You two are alone in the Bear's Lodge for the time being, asking to pick your brain about something.
Okay, are you there, Tree? I guess not.
Yeah, I guess they left again. All right. In that case,
this is really irritating me.
Yeah, just keep your thought in mind. In the meantime, Zeph, you wanted to identify your metal armbands, and I'm assuming you're using your special eyes for this.
Yeah, we use the goggles.
All right. Using your goggles, you do a scan.
Look with your special eyes.
Yeah, look with your special eyes. That's always what I'm referencing when I say that. The interlocking metal armbands of gold you identify as bracers of defense.
Oh, yeah. I think I remember that.
Yes, I believe you may have identified them before. If you want, I don't mind allowing you to pick a different one.
Where's my... I think I have that in my inventory. Alright.
Oh.
There you are.
Hello, sorry about that.
No worries.
He's playing with the kitten.
I get it. Cats are very distracting. Lucian had a thing for you. Austin, you can just
Okay.
message me about your thing. But yeah, so now that everyone's here, Lucian, I'm assuming you're available.
Yeah, just taking deep breaths. I'm fine.
All right. So yeah, Tuco, you and Lucian are sitting at the bar at the moment. There's a few people in the bar itself, but the rest of the party's off doing their own thing. And Lucian has approached you, asking to pick your brain about something.
Okay. Yeah, Tuco's game.
So yeah, Lucian will just kind of put down her notes of what she's been, all the research that they've been doing together. I've been thinking about how the Emperor had said that, Zephyr is essentially like ground zero for this shit.
Yes.
Well, if we could, hypothetically, with all of the stuff that we are getting from Dr. Knight, I was thinking that we could make a vaccine that could inactivate the virus instead of curing it, because if we cure it, that could kill us, very likely. And we wouldn't be able to perform the surgery anyway, because only like 2 people in the entire world can do it, regardless of our skill. So I was thinking if we inactivate the virus, well, if it is technically a virus, we could just make it stop killing us.
Yeah, you see Tuco's his brow kind of furrows as he ponders it.
It just seems to me that it would be a lot more reliable than a cure, because if we try to cure ourselves, that might, kill us in the end.
Well, how about we research the both? It could help prevent any future, spread of the issue.
That's also why I was thinking of a vaccine, because if we can also make a vaccine, then we can just vaccinate people and they won't be able to be
Is it a
Icarized.
cure or vaccine?
Not necessarily. They're actually quite different. One is a treatment and one is an immunization.
You see Tuco just kind of like tilt his head, but he takes your word for it.
Immunization is a preventative, and if we can use a preventative, it's it's not exactly a cure. A cure just makes it all go away. A preventive makes it, harder for you to get it.
I still say that we research into all three. In the very least, it could certainly help purge others.
So I have like this gnawing at the back of my brain that I want to get inside her head. I want to know why she even created this Icar in the first place.
Hugo nods. Yeah, what she made is a rather nasty bit. I've seen many a plague in my time, but this takes the cake.
Is it bad that I want to talk to her? Like, scientist to scientist, Is it bad?
Tuco kind of thinks on it before... Well... As a scientist, it is incredibly tempting. But as someone who has seen the ramifications of that science... They're the best. He kind of winces as he says it, like he doesn't like saying it, but he admits that it's most likely the best.
Yeah, but like... I've been thinking a lot about what Lucifer had told me. You weren't with us when I spoke with Lucifer. This was way back when we were doing the ball and stuff, and anyway, Lucifer had told me that everybody in the Concord had like the different motivation. And I guess I just got to thinking, why did they even have to start this shit? Like, what's the point? If they all have different like goals, why are they all in one like team? You know? Does that make sense?
I understand what you're saying.
Just don't be surprised if I lock myself in a room with her.
Though, don't dig too deeply. The knowledge of how to replicate this is disturbing. Imagine that sort of power getting into the hands of, well, another rival world power. We'd have to fight them all over again. This sort of thing really shouldn't be spreading.
But that's why
knowledge or otherwise.
That's why I want to get in her head. That's why I want to get all of the stuff, all of her research, everything that we can possibly get from her, I don't know, place of residence. I don't fucking know. I just want all of her shit, you know?
But it being in your hands isn't a good idea either.
I mean, no more than it is in yours.
I don't intend to keep it. I just intend to cure it.
Yeah, no, that was the whole point, is I just want to cure it, and I wanted to prevent it from happening. So a cure and a preventative. Because I think this is going deeper than we think.
Of course, it's always deeper than we think.
That's why
organization this must have taken.
I mean, I wish you were here when we went through all of the laboratories. It was both disturbing and fascinating. I'm not going to lie. But all of the people who died, and they even were testing for like aerial born, like they were gonna like put it in birds and like spread it that way, and oh my god, they did so many bad things.
I think that we should retain the research long enough to understand how to cure it, and burn whatever's left.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that as long as we have a cure and a preventative and yeah, absolutely.
Encrypted in such a way that it'll be very difficult to reverse engineer it.
That will be difficult, but I think that's doable between our talents.
All
I
right.
just really want to talk to her.
Anything else from the two of you?
I'm good.
No.
Okay. I'll say, as you guys discuss your options for a vaccination, a potential cure, it's getting into the late afternoon, early night when What's-Is and Caleb return. As mentioned, the two of you feeling pretty successful, as at this point you're fairly confident that a good chunk of the city is in Caleb's favor. If it did come down to a civil war at this point, the Queen supporters, at least in Rosewood, would be heavily outmatched.
Yeah, so they wouldn't fight because they'd be they know they're outnumbered, so
Yeah.
preservation.
Yep. So with that, any final business from the party, or are you content to tuck in for another night?
Yeah, I guess Caleb will tuck in for the night.
Yep,
All right.
I'm good.
All right. You all go down for a long rest, which you may note on your character sheets. Lucian, you have finally slept off all lingering effects of the ink agony. With your awakening, the last of the ink agony's influence on this plane has been eliminated. You all awaken and assemble down in the Bear's Lodge. And I will say at this point, Caleb, the party's following you. You can stay and campaign more if you wish, but at this point the party is rested and ready to start heading east if you feel you are ready.
I think Caleb's kind of thinking.
Wise on.
I mean, with the support he's able to gather, he's wondering if he might be able to make some kind of deal.
If it helps, I will say that, as mentioned, nobody has even seen the Queen since she made her announcement. Basically, there's going to need to be time for substantial political moves to be made. As mentioned, word about your ascent needs to spread to the other cities. So basically, for what it's worth, unless you have like a lead on the Queen, basically it may pay to let Tebadra kind of stew on this for a couple days. Let people figure out where they stand. Let people in other cities find out about it, and go from there.
All right, very well
Yeah.
then. Caleb will make a stop by the hideout to just catch up with everybody and maybe basically he'll just go over a general plan to basically keep the word spreading and all that and maintain it while he's away.
Will do. You're heading to Dwarf Country, right?
Yes. My actual father, may still be there, so I have to go.
Of course. I don't intend to stop you. I actually want the help. That deal you made, or I guess put on the table with that creepy guy. Do you intend to actually do it?
I don't know if I want to keep Tebadra waiting all the time it would take to go there at the moment. I was thinking maybe going to here because there's also information about the situation there that could make that deal unnecessary.
Good idea. Well,
and then I would probably want to come back here and hopefully bring things to a head. And once that, maybe I can use some gained resources if I still feel like I need it.
good idea. Besides, that gives us time to let the information spread. I suspect by now, Fuse is just getting word of what happened and what you're planning. We'll have to see where they stand.
Well, my uncle has maintained a lodge there, so maybe that'll help a little bit.
I hope so. Fuse is like us. I'm sure they'll be on the right side. I can't speak for the rest of the villages, though.
How many of them do you think we will need?
He kind of bites his lip and thinks for a minute. Honestly, I think if we have Rosewick and Fuse, that should be enough. Fuse has most of our highwaymen and the burglars stationed there, and Rosewick is, well, it's Rosewick.
Would it be safe to say that Fuse and Rose would probably make up the majority of the
Oh,
population?
absolutely. Most of the other settlements are just kind of outlying, like, small encampments, basically.
Basically, if... Yes, I think you're right. If where Fuse and Rosewick go, the others will tend to follow.
Honestly, most of them will probably think it doesn't matter much to them either way, which I guess technically it doesn't. You're just going to tell them to keep doing what they're doing, but be better about it.
Yes. It is very important that we do make sure we do not allow the Queen supporters to take root in Fuse. I would hate to see what would happen to the Badger if Rosewick and Fuse came against one another.
I haven't been down to Fuse in a while. I can make a trip while you're away.
Yeah, it sounds like a plan again. Maybe you could see if one of my cousins will be willing to let you shack up in their place in Fuse.
He kind of gives a smirk, and in Thieves' Cant, he kind of mumbles, although you're, of course, still easily able to hear it. They bet they're for what I'm paying them. He gives you a hug. Be careful. The dwarves there, they can be nasty. Don't underestimate them.
Aren't they like officially on our side or something? Didn't they recognize us?
They recognized us, but something tells me that even if all of us were cheering for you, if they catch you on their land when they're not expecting you, I don't think they're going to care much, crown or otherwise.
That's true.
Just be careful, that's all I'm saying.
It's... the gods will probably curse me for saying it, but a part of me thinks this all would have been so much easier if the person in the dungeon was a little more successful.
He kind of winces at the memory and shakes his head. I don't think so. I know it's complicated, but this is for the best, I think. There's no need for anybody to die if they don't have to. And I admit you guys know more than I do, but I at least have figured out enough to understand that whatever you want from the dwarves is important about all this. It may have the answers. At least the queen's, or, well, the princess seems to think so. So, I like to think things worked out for the best, if the dwarves do have the answers you're looking for.
Part of me was hoping to already have all this wrapped up by now, but it's not how it went.
Yeah, that's unfortunately not how politics work, love.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping it'd be like, I get into good graces, I get myself in position to become king, the king croaks, and I get to be king. But that stubborn old man.
I guess you learned something from him. And he kind of elbows you.
Oh, don't remind me.
I love you. Be safe out there. I'll head down to Fuse and make sure everybody stays in line. It's been a while since I've been down west anyway. And I have a few leads I'm following. By the time you get back, maybe I'll have some answers.
Very well. Oh, Jerry, I was,
Hmm?
I had a request.
Okay.
While I'm away, if you can... Any more information you can gather on the Queen that I can use would be beneficial. Queen or King, really. You know what I mean.
Gather information, report back. Got it.
If it's not too much trouble.
He doesn't answer or respond to your clarification, simply laying his head back down in the dirt and making little doodles on the wall.
Like, before Caleb leaves, he's gonna whisper to Dimitri, like, he always makes me feel like I'm annoying him.
It's okay. He loves you. You all do. You're a lot better than his folks are.
I almost hate to ask.
Jerry's smart. It's just that people don't understand him.
People not understanding you, that's something we can relate to.
He gives a nod. He gives you a hug and a kiss.
I guess because he's probably going to be gone for a week or two. Okay, Caleb makes it an extra long one.
Which he reciprocates. Alright.
Like, and just imagine one of the others just rolls their eyes.
Oh, absolutely. Get a room! A different one. No, they know a different... Never mind.
That's realistic.
Does anyone have any errands they want to run in Rosewick, or are you content to, once Caleb is ready, start heading east? Gesundheit, don't die.
Oh no, he's infected with the ichor.
or the parasite.
Don't make me laugh. It's gonna make me choke more. ...
I'm just doing all the things that I know make him laugh.
Fuck you.
No, I think I'm good.
Alright.
I mean, I guess. Kill him.
This is how I murder a man with the power of my voice. This is my supervillain origin story.
Fucking knuckles. ...
I love how, because I was literally just thinking, like, I know how to make him laugh right now. I was right.
Fucking... Wait, why are we working with this imbecile?
But yeah, so go ahead, Zeph.
Now I'm gonna have to look it up.
More magic item identification.
All right, which one are you identifying?
And I'm pretty sure the only thing I'm missing is the arrow or the.
Don't be
bow
afraid to
that
give me a
are-
heads up if this comes through the mic.
That's
Yep.
that.
So yeah, which one?
Is that. The armor.
Yes. You identify the dark, dusty, gray leather armor as +2 studded leather armor.
Same or slightly better than mine.
And anything else?
No.
Okay. Caleb, you return from your errand. The party has their equipment gathered and ready to march. new horse and cart in tow. Do you wish to extend the rental of this bedraggled horse?
No, it deserves to rest.
Alright,
Y'all, we should go back to Fuse and get our cart and punchy little horse.
I mean, yeah, I could sleep in the cart, I guess. Just
Well,
really
unless you guys
freaking
just want
tired.
to walk.
Well,
Do I
Lucian
look like
should
I
have
want to
already-
fucking walk?
Lucian shouldn't be exhausted anymore, by the way. It's been 2 days.
no, no,
Has
like,
it?
yes. I mentioned at the start of today that.
I didn't hear that. I'm sorry.
No worries. Yeah, no, your exhaustion's cleared.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
No problem.
We should
Yeah.
still go to Fuse to get the stuff, though.
Okay. Noted. And
Listeners are okay with it.
yeah, is everyone good with that plan?
Mhm.
Okay.
While we're in the woods, I'll just like familiarize myself with a few trees,
Okay.
you know, for the future.
Yes. And Zeph, do you have any complaints, or are you good with the plan?
He has no.
Okay. You did your little chuckle, so I was making sure.
Yeah, just like no response. Obviously,
I mean, like, can't sit here needling a response out of everyone. Leaving the frostbitten and tired horse with the stable hand, who is at the very least grateful that you got it back in one piece at all. You all begin your journey, starting with a return trip to Fuse. Now, I will say, before we start the kind of broad strokes travel,
God, that movie was amazing.
Before we start the broad strokes travel, I will just reiterate the question I'd posed to you guys off camera last night.
keeping the travel.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Do we want to like cover you guys' travel, or just kind of get to your destination? I'll tell you just how much time passed and where you went.
I mean, whatever the party wants to do.
Well, I was gonna suggest, you know how we did in Argos? We were like, day 1, this happened, day 2, this happened.
Okay.
And then along the way, if we see anything we want to like interact with, we can always do that, or we could just say we want to move on.
Okay. In that case, you guys prepare for another lengthy expedition as you return to Fuse. Let me get us some traveling music.
With how low to the ground dwarves are, it must be pretty hard to, like, knock one over.
Yes, they're very sturdy. The first
Yeah.
two...
And they're usually
the-
always, like, really tough, too.
Yeah.
But on the
and-
bright side, you can always look down on them.
Yeah, also in this setting, that's especially true, by the way, in terms of dwarf strength.
Are they, like, superhuman?
Yes.
They're, like, low compact,
Yeah.
just units.
Also, I will say, when I give a, like, on-day thing of this trip, deduct an appropriate amount of days from your rations. I'll try to specify that where I can, but just in case I forget. But if anyone has a way of magically providing food, or if anyone wants to go hunting, just mention that, and I will...
Yeah, I can always fiddle with my spells, and I can always, you know, magic food and water.
Okay, is everyone
And,
willing to take...
and I'll hunt to add extra fresh stuff that's not just, tasteless.
Alright, roll survival.
I'll take mushrooms and whatever.
Caleb is going to,
Shrubbery.
whenever whenever Wuss is, like, goes to hunt. Caleb wants to follow him and see what he does.
You're just kind of seeing how he does it.
Yeah, Caleb will, like, at first, he's gonna observe him.
Okay, noted. What's his survival?
Nature. Okay, survival. Got it. Let's see. That is a 14.
Okay. Tebedra does not have the most fertile ground when it comes to game hunting, but you do manage to acquire a few Gigi birds and small game that those who are not inclined to Lucian's tasteless magical food can eat. The first 2 days of your trip are rather uneventful. You simply return to
2 days of ration?
Yes. Well, no, since Lucian and What's-Its are providing food, you do not have to deduct that. And Lucian's providing magical water, so you don't need to worry about your water skin.
Okay.
So yeah, you're good. Lucian and What's-Its got everyone covered. The first 2 days pass by uneventfully, simply returning to Fuse. You retrieve your carriage, which, to your befuddlement, is not completely stolen.
Has our horse lost weight, or has it gotten fatter?
It's actually gotten fatter.
How is my warhorse looking?
Your warhorse is looking a little irritated. Doesn't seem exactly happy at being left here, but it does seem like it's doing fine other than that.
I'll
Basically,
pass
it
an
might need
apple.
some more pats.
It says, "How dare you? How dare you, father?"
Yeah, you need to give it an apple and some pats.
As you suspected, most of the animal menagerie left to follow Caro.
So out of curiosity, Matthew,
Yes.
would Caleb happen to know, like, what kind of gathering is most fruitful around Tebedra?
If you can actually believe it, their most common good is cinnamon.
What about, like, so are they, like, is it very good for gathering, like, so does that
Basically,
mean, like,
it's good for herbs, spices, and like jungle fruit, because Tebedra is the most one of the most southern and thus warmer and tropical regions of Yav.
do Tebedrans eat a lot of fruit, basically?
Compared to the rest of the continent, for certain.
Can Caleb help by gathering some of the fruit that he knows are good?
Sure, roll survival.
Caleb gets a +1 at that. That's a natural 20.
All right. Caleb spends the first couple days kind of just watching you hunt small game, but then eventually just kind of wanders off and disappears, only to return to the group as you guys prepare to leave Rosewick on the full length of your expedition with a crap ton of chocolate, cinnamon, and other such decorative spices and edible fruits that make the meals over the course of this trip a lot tastier and more bearable.
Do I? You got this, Caleb?
It's the kind of thing that Tebedra is known for. Man, I wonder, with how much cinnamon they have access to, they must have some mean cinnamon buns in Tebedra.
Actually, yes. It's one of the few things that they actually make and export. It's just that business doesn't boom so much, specifically because Tebedra has a hard time getting long-term bakers for obvious reasons.
Yeah, maybe that's something Caleb should invest in.
Yeah. Once you guys have your carriage, the longer length of your journey begins.
Yeah. No, I will be more willing to drive.
All right. What's taking the wheel? You begin heading northeast, the similar direction that you had gone to get to Tebedra Farms, except this time intending to head further east. Eventually, you cross the border officially, and other than Tuco and Caleb and Zephyr in character, this will be some of you guys' first time in the Wyson Sardom. Formerly a kingdom marred by prejudice, a recent slave uprising has seen massive social progress. The newly appointed Queen Wyson rules her new land with a firm but gentle grip. They share a famously close bond with House Crimesoon, who provided weapons to the rebellion. Their bond is strong, with rumors going around that the queens are going to marry soon. The most common population groupings are gnomes and gremlins. Gremlins. They are a goblin subspecies, those who were enslaved by gnomes, mutated over the course of radioactive exposure before eventually becoming, well, gremlins. Famously good builders, but with an unfortunate penchant for, let's call them more destructive pursuits.
You mean chaos?
Yeah. Lucian, you would know that the motto of the Wyson Sardom, established after the slave uprising, we met prejudice with kindness.
I'll do it if you want me to, but as far as my parents go, what were their thoughts on this
Roll
place?
history.
Okay. Let me get out my die.
So from what I remember, they certainly don't meet the Tebadrians with kindness. Yeah, but it's mutual.
Not bad, not bad.
Still from now.
I think I have a +8.
Yeah, we steal a lot from them.
24.
You know that back whenever the territory was still firmly in the... because your father was actually from a time where the Aegis Federation ruled that land. But then eventually the Kingdom of Crimesoon was established, and then the Wyson Sardom after them. Back whenever it was the Aegis Federation, your father was very close to the southern trade lands. This area you guys are about to pass through is an area that borders the coast of the Blackened Sea. So called because Yav, especially in winter, gets so dark and so cold that the water looks like it's pitch black. You know that Yav is host to a series of small archipelagos and underwater cave systems that are very popular among shipwreck divers. As a result, the Aegis Federation had a great monopolization on the southern islands. And as a result, your father was very close with the dwarves when they controlled this land. But as their control waned and was bestowed to the Kingdom of Crimesoon, your father did continue to deal with Crimesoon, but he and the merchants of Crimesoon did not share their values. So although they traded goods, your father and the merchants of Crimesoon did not get along. And whenever the Wyson Sardom was established, your father cut trade off altogether, refusing to negotiate or trade with what he saw as lesser creatures.
How about my mom?
Your mother, in silence, was very supportive of the Wyson uprising. Although, given how bad it was for your father's business, she had to be very quiet about that. She never publicly expressed her support, but she did make it clear to you in private that she thought that it was for the best and that we should be on the right side of history when all is said and done.
Okay. Very interesting. Very, very interesting.
To the south, where you guys will be passing, you guys will not be passing through it specifically, but almost all of you have a familiarity with them in character. You are going to be passing near the territory of the Kingdom of Crimson. Their motto is, "Let bullets fly." They believe heavily in a projection of force. They arm their trade ships to the teeth, sometimes literally. They trade all around Yav, and if anyone tries to stop them, they get the business end of gunpowder. They were next to Gyogre. They are at some of the forefront of weapons technologies. Again, having used to have lucrative trade deals with the Gyogren Alliance. In modern times, Crimesoon continues to hold a significant amount of influence, although they lost quite a bit of land to the Wyson Uprising. Given the potential for a marriage on the horizon, they are going to get all of that land back and then some. So people project that Crimesoon is going to stay a very relevant political face for quite some time. They are one of Yav's modern powerhouses.
I'd imagine that Tabedra and Crimesoon have had many bloody battle with each other.
Yes, you two are vicious rivals, only mitigated by the fact that because of the Weiss and Sardum's establishment, they actually do not connect with you by land, they only connect with you by sea. So as long as Tabedra stays out of the water and they stay out of the forest, the two of you leave each other alone, essentially, but you will happily harass their lucrative caravans, and Crimesoon is more than happy to test their new weapons on any highwaymen who try to rob them.
Were they one of the people who attacked Tabedra during its formation?
Yes, back then Weiss and Sardum didn't exist. Yes, your father dealt with spy attacks from the south, but the rest of Tabedra was dealing with military attacks from the east, which was coming from mostly Crimesoon. Hence the mention of the induction of the cannon being within memory.
Yeah. I'd imagine those were their cannons.
Yes.
And I'd imagine Tibedrans maybe stole a few of them.
Yes.
I could just imagine them being very up. They seem like they'd be very angry about that.
They were.
Like,
they were not
why
thrilled.
are we being shot at by cannons?
Yeah, that's our thing. You officially leave Tabedra territory on the next day of your journey, reaching the outlying settlement of the Weiss and Sardum Blade. Passing through and basically going off of what we said, just someone give me a heads up if you guys want to stop and take a look around. Otherwise, I will assume we are good to continue. Blade is a small settlement, relatively unassuming. Its construction is quiet and humble. It is, after all, a somewhat outlying village. And Caleb, you recall that Tabedra has raided this place once or twice. The people are...
Caleb should probably hide his face here.
Yes. Caleb and Zephyr, from what you recall of this place, the people are hardy and more than willing to defend themselves. You recall that at one point, Caleb, there was an incident where a Tabedra raid was going after them, and Crimesoon sent soldiers to help reinforce the town, only to realize that the town was basically holding its own just fine and didn't need their help.
Oh.
All in all, Blade is a dark, gritty, and quiet town. Other than bandit attacks, they seem pretty remote. If nobody stops, you continue on your way.
Yeah, Caleb wants to get the fuck out of this place as quickly as possible.
What I'm hearing is we should explore and talk to everyone.
Yeah, talk to everyone and be like, hey, what do you guys think of Tabedra, huh?
Hey, what do you think about a yogurt, too?
Yeah, tell us all about it.
imagine they probably don't like Kyogre much either.
Secret policing.
And yeah, they're not super fond of Kyogre. They basically just see it as like, we get money from selling them guns, and they give us guns if we give them money, but we're not friends.
Business partners.
Yeah.
We will stab each other in the back at any moment's notice.
The environment around you begins to shift at this point in your journey. The Sprintwood gives way to what is largely not full-on desert, but just kind of open plains. Not like the sloping hills of the Tieshan Valley, more similar to what you saw in Sundragon, just wide open grassland with not much else breaking it up. The kind of place where like rabbits and shit thrive.
Yeah, rabbits thrive everywhere almost.
Well, true, but you get my point.
I mean,
You're
they
forced
do like to multiply.
Very true. You are forced to set up camp in the grassland, as the next town is a little bit further away from Blade. You guys can mostly, if you want, just stick to hugging the coast of the Blackened Sea. There is a largely unbroken land route to the Copper Mountain. You would only have to take a ferry from the Denouement Commonwealth.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Continuing on, the next day, you arrive in the town of Ayar. Ayar, from the looks of it, is a coastal trading settlement. Tuco, you can smell exotic chemicals and burning sulfur. A set of walls erected around the city to keep it safe. Everyone, shockingly, despite the season, is kind of dressed for a little bit of anything. Like they have those outfits that are good for desert travel, so that they're good for like burning sunlight or freezing cold. Given that winter is still very much here, but they seem like they get a lot of sun being this close to the coast and in a very wide open space. They have to kind of be ready for anything. But from the bustling ship traffic you see, you don't imagine you imagine the bad weather can be easily tolerated.
Oh, I bet.
So, does this look like a place where I'd be able to find better weapons with all the trade?
I will say Ayar mostly deals in gunpowder weaponry. If you're interested in that sort of thing, you can browse. If not, basically, if you're looking for like a melee weapon, you may want to wait until you get to the next kingdom.
Yeah, that's what he's looking for.
All right, noted. I'll keep that in mind. The next day, you cross out from Ayar, and you reach the Wyson capital, Crosshair. Crosshair is the den of experimental tech. Back when this was the territory of the Aegis Federation, the dwarves established it as basically a laboratory city. After them, whenever the Kingdom of Crimesoon came to be, they continued that trend, using this place to test experimental vehicles and weapons. And then whenever the Wyson Sardom took their place, they decided, well, if it ain't broke, you can see a rising steam cloud that actually noticeably warms the plains around it. Tuco, you can smell chemicals and coal fires. You can hear the test rounds of gunfire and the sound of factories at work. And while you can't see it from this distance, you can imagine a lot of, let's call it interesting tinkering happens there, especially since you have gnomes and gremlins cooped up in a city together. Where for the first time since the uprising, the gremlins are not only allowed, but encouraged to explore their destructive urges as much as they like.
Like, here, use this grenade.
Yeah, it's just like, I wanna blow up gunpowder and see what it does. And rather than being like, no, you can't do that, that's illegal, the gnomes are just like, oh yeah, shit, that'd probably be dope.
Here, try this.
Yeah, no,
This is
don't,
stronger.
come on, don't try it with gunpowder. Don't be an idiot. We know what happens when you blow up gunpowder. Try blowing up this black stuff we got out of the ground. Leaving the din of Crosshair behind, you are crossing the border now from the Weiss and Sardom into, you are now actually pretty much in the dead center of Southern Yav. You cross into the Denouement Commonwealth. The Denouement Commonwealth is famous. Tuco, you and your co-workers, let's call them, took out several hits on Denouement royalty.
Oh, fascinating.
Lucian, your father hated the Denouement family passionately. Like, I'm talking like you get him drunk and he instantly starts shit-talking the Denouements. What's his
I need to know more about this.
I'm gonna go into it. What's his your father actually did speak of Denouement. Specifically, he derided the house as weak and doomed to fall.
Oh my god.
But yet they're seeming to do a bit better than we were. Well, are.
And Caleb and Zephyr, while they're a bit too far away and over too much contested territory for the Tebadrons to directly raid them, you do know that the Tebadrons have been eager to get their hands on Denouement valuables, especially as they don't imagine they will be contested for them. The Denouement name once commanded great respect. They are actually a very old and noble house. Unfortunately, their current king cannot lay claim to that. It is a well-known fact that King Denouement is a bastard child. He was the youngest of the family born out of wedlock. But he is the only of his siblings still remaining. Assassins like Tuco and Caleb killed most of them, and illness took those who
How
weren't
many of them
assassinated.
were sent on each other?
More than they'd probably like to admit, unfortunately.
Man, that would be like an interesting thing, like a royal family that they kept hiring assassins against each other, and so they all died.
Basically, that's it's pretty much what happened, and everyone who wasn't assassinated just got sick and died.
That's just the way of things.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, in this time period.
Wonder what happens if the person who hires an assassin themselves gets assassinated. Does the assassin just quit because he's not going to get paid?
I mean, yeah, if he's not going to get his money. Because of the, let's call it, waning status of the Denouement name, their political power is waning rapidly. King Denouement is struggling to even maintain the respect of his people, much less the respect of other Yavik nobility. As mentioned, those of you who were the scion of nobles freely shit-talk King Denouement to his face. Nobody was afraid of him, despite the great power his house once commanded. They basically see Denouement as the, now a small what was once a big fish in a small pond is now a tiny guppy surrounded by sharks. They are bested economically to the west by Crime Soon, bested militaristically to the north by Spear Maiden, and their control of the coast is contested by the Kingdom of Concord to their east. They have no naval position, very little economic sway, no military might. All they have to their name is their name itself. Denouement. Second to last.
Aren't they bordering one of the biggest weapon producers in the continent?
Yep.
Why have Crime Soon not just invaded them already?
That's just not how Crime Soon does things.
I mean, that would just be more land to make money off of.
Well, yeah, but some people are like, they're not hurting anybody, so we'll just leave them be. Not everyone's evil around here. passing into denouement, you first arrive in their border town of Lancaster. From there, you're able to reach the capital, Arcos.
But is this a country you said I could get good weapons from?
Yes, one of the few things they are renowned for is that the denouement family had smithing secrets that even the dwarves do not know.
Ooh.
Maybe
I'm
Caleb will
definitely
see
interested.
if that can be thieved. But at a later date.
I think it really says something about denouement that, yeah, one of the first thoughts that happened on arriving is just like, man, I could steal so much shit here.
Like, I wonder if I could steal their secret and then use it to make
I
Tavage
gotta head to bed for the night.
Don't worry, we're about to take off, but I hope you had fun.
Uh-huh.
All right. Yeah, we're about to wrap up, but I will say, you guys have reached the denouement capital, Arcos. From there, checking your map, you have to get to the village of Gravel, and then from there, you will reach Electrum. From Electrum, you can take a ferry into the Aegis Federation, the territory of the dwarves, who hold your friends and family prisoner, and just may be benefiting off of the secrets that the doctors of the party are trying desperately to solve. Is Dr. Knight still there? Or any of the people you're looking for that matter? Is this just some glorified ambush to provide just a few more strong workers to the Dwarven hold? I suppose we'll have to find out, won't we? But for now, that is where we're going to end tonight's session. All right. Sorry, I was getting everything set up. Check out our website at officiald5hub.info. Down for maintenance at the moment, but soon to be resurrected from the grave, like a filthy necromancer trying to both vaccinate and cure a virus. Check out our link in chat to join our official D5 Discord server if you want to hang out with us directly. Support our episodes posted on Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Google Podcasts, and the iHeart Podcast Network, wherever you happen to get them from. For our audio listeners, catch us live on Tuesdays at 7 o'clock Central Daylight Time on twitch.tv/OddTornadoProductions. Check out Odd Tornado Productions Official on Tumblr to find links to our other works, including our Human Rogues Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Killer5, that is 5 with a PH. Don't get it wrong. If you enjoy what we do, please support us on Patreon. That link will be posted as well. On Ko-fi at kofi.com/OddTornadoProductions. And follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/tornadoodd. The TNO are capitalized. If you want to get immediate updates whenever we go live, as well as updates on all of our other projects. And if you want to see more of this party, plus or minus a few, tune in Mondays at 7 o'clock Central Daylight Time for our Monday campaign, Under Locks and Keys, featuring a party of globe-trotting treasure hunters trying to assemble the artifacts of the gods from under the nose of technology-worshipping cultists. Thanks, everyone at the table, so much for playing. Thanks, everyone at home, so much for watching. And we'll see you all next week.